So have you ever noticed how certain seasons quietly expose what you're really standing on? Not the loud seasons, not the obvious ones, but the ones where you're tired, distracted, stretched thin, and still expected to show up? That's what's been on my heart as Valentine's week rolls around. This season usually points us towards love, marriage, relationship, connections. But today, I want to talk about a deeper kind of love. The kind that stays steady when faith is tested, calling feels heavy, and life doesn't slow down just because we need it to. Welcome back to Making Encouragement in Chaos. I'm Susan Rayner, pastor's wife, homeschool mom, small business owner, and your friend in the middle of a life that doesn't always feel neat or predictable. If you're new here, I'm really glad you found this space. And if you've been walking with me through season 1 and possibly season 2 so far, thank you for staying. This episode flows directly out of where we left off the last time. However, before we dive any further, I want to pause for just a moment and acknowledge something that's really close to us here at home. Our area was hit with a major ice storm recently. It was over an inch where we live of ice. And honestly, it looked like a tornado had come through. Trees were down, power lines snapped, entire communities were left without electricity for days. We were so blessed to only lose power for a short time, but so many around us weren't as fortunate. So I want to say this publicly and sincerely. Thank you to the linemen and crews who worked long hours in dangerous conditions to restore power and keep people safe. Your work mattered more than you could ever know. And as I watched all of that unfold, the damage, the waiting, the dependence on others, it kind of stirred something deeper inside of me. Because seasons like that have a way of reminding us how quickly things can shift and how important it is to be steady when they do. So, on to our topic. Last time we talked about reset, about realignment, about refreshing our hearts on building God's kingdom instead of pouring all of our energy into just maintaining our own houses. And today, I want to talk about what happens after that realization. Because recognizing the shift is one thing. Standing firm in it is another. And that's where readiness comes in. And lately, the Lord has been showing me that readiness isn't about having everything figured out. Because Lord knows I do not have it all figured out. It's about being steady enough to take the next step, even when fear tries to talk you out of it. And I'll be honest, readiness has looked different for me lately. I've always liked feeling prepared. I love lists. I like knowing what's next. I like things done and put away. But spiritual readiness doesn't work on a checklist. Sometimes God doesn't hand you a plan. He just says, stand here and be willing. And that thought hit me in a funny way, very real life way recently. I wear an Apple Watch, and anybody that wears one, I think they'll know what I'm talking about. But lately it's been giving me these alerts that say something along the lines of, you seem unsteady. You may be at risk of falling. Now listen, I laughed, and I still laugh. And then I thought, does this mean I'm getting old? I know that I did not sign up for my watch to get snarky and tell me how old I am. But the more I thought about it, the more it stuck with me. Because spiritually speaking, we can become unsteady too. Not because we don't love God, not because we don't believe, but because fear, exhaustion, distraction, and opposition have a way of throwing off our footing. And that's exactly why Scripture talks so much about our feet. Paul tells us in Ephesians 6:15 to have our feet fitted with the readiness that comes from the gospel of peace. And that word fitted matters. It means prepared ahead of time, anchored, steady. Because when faith is tested, and it will be, you need something that holds you in place. And this connects directly to what we talked about in Haggai. When things got hard, when opposition showed up, when obedience felt costly, the people didn't stop believing God. They shifted their focus. Fear redirected them inward. They focused on their own houses, their own comfort, their own sense of control. And truly, I get it, because living for God can get hard. There are moments when obedience feels heavy, when pushing through the Spirit feels harder than just pulling back and making life manageable again. And that's often when the enemy presses hardest, not to destroy us outright, but to distract us just enough to stop kingdom work. That's why readiness matters so much, because readiness says, I may feel weak, but I'm willing. And God has always worked through willing hearts. I want to be very transparent with you here. Witnessing has never come easily to me. I've been in church my entire life, and I still wrestle with the fear of not knowing enough, not saying the right thing, or feeling like someone else would be better equipped to do this than myself. But God keeps reminding me that He has never asked us to rely on our own strength. He's always promised to meet us in obedience. Jeremiah had issues with it. God anointed his mouth, put the words in his mouth. Moses did the same thing, and God took care of him. The gospel of peace doesn't remove the battle. It steadies your footing in the middle of it. And when your feet are steady, fear doesn't get the final word. And friend, if you're listening from a place of weariness, emotionally, spiritually, or physically, I want you to hear this clearly. God isn't asking you to have it all together. He's asking you to stay ready. Ready to love when it would be easier to stay quiet. Ready to obey when it would be easier to retreat. Ready to stand when everything in you wants to sit down. As we move through this week, a week that talks a lot about love, take a moment to ask yourself, where are my feet planted? Are they steady? Are they fitted with peace? Am I positioned to move when God says go? That's the kind of readiness that builds strength. Not flashy, not loud, but faithful. And my prayer today is, Lord, steady our steps. Fit our feet with your peace. Keep us ready, not perfect, not fearless, but willing. If today's episode touched you in some way, leave me a comment below or share it with a friend. You can always get more encouragement over at the blog at makinmakin.com or sign up for the Stay Rooted email, which is our midweek encouragement email that's delivered straight to your inbox. You can sign up for that over at makinmakin.com, and you'll find the link down in the show notes below. And as always, remember, I'm always praying for you, even if I don't know who you are. God bless.